And our big grandfather clock is losing time,
Yeah, I heard.
so they have to call the clock lady. A special person has to come fix it. So.
Yeah, that's a pretty big old clock.
Okay, I think it's safe to begin. So I'm Ananya, and I head the Theosophical Order of Service, which is the service branch of the Theosophical Society. And if you're a member of the TS, you probably get our magazine called For the Love of Life, which I'm the editor of. I wear many hats for the TOS because we're very small and it's volunteer, and one person does a lot of things. So tonight I've been asked to facilitate the global peace meditation. And interestingly enough, the TOS has several different types of meditation for global peace, because it's always been something the TOS, the Theosophical Order of Service, has been involved in since its inception. So just to give you a little idea about the TOS, it was started in 1908, soon after Annie Besant became international president of the TS. And she started it because there were so many people who wanted to do service work, and there was sort of this dichotomy within the Theosophical Society that social activism isn't really theosophy. So in order to combat that, because she was a social activist, if you know anything about, she was a huge activist. So to be able to combat that, she decided to start a branch that was separate from the TS, but not really separate from the TS. It was just it was oriented towards service. So it's an international organization, and one of the branches that they started, one of the leagues that they started, was the Peace League, the Global Peace League. And they felt this was very important because if you want to talk about theosophy, you can't talk about theosophy without talking about peace, because theosophy is altruism, and altruism is selfless service. And we can't do selfless service, true selfless service, if we don't have a sense of peace within us. Because to have any sort of compassion, you have to have a sense of peace within you. So the motto of the TOS is a union of those who love in the service of all that suffers. And so tonight's meditation is going to be on sending that peace out to those that suffer and helping to soothe that suffering through the meditation that we're going to do. I was trying to think, there was something else that I wanted to share with you. But another aspect of the TOS is the fact that it's always been involved in helping those that are suffering, as the motto says. So when it was started in 1908, they went through World War I and World War II. And it was amazing how people from around the world were sending care packages to Europe, when London was being bombed. And packages were going from here. Joy Mills was actually part of all of that. They would pack up food and socks and all sorts of things and box it up and send it off to Europe, which was quite amazing in that time, during that time, because it wasn't like it was they didn't have FedEx back then, Things sat on a ship for a long time. But anything that anyone could do to help relieve suffering has always been extremely important to the Theosophical Order of Service. And it's not just a service organization like the Red Cross or, Amnesty International. It does somewhat similar work, but the thing that sets it apart is the fact that it's Theosophy. And Theosophy, in my own view, I'm going to speak from my own personal perspective, I think that it's very difficult to practice Theosophy if you don't have compassion and if you don't have just some sense of peace within you. And what I mean by that is that we can't really live a theosophical life and be aware of the oneness of all life if we are at odds with everything around us. So there are two aspects that I tend to harp on, and I'm sorry if you've already heard it, but I feel that there are two things that we have to really work at in order to have true peace in our life. And one is not taking anything personally. When we're in a grocery store and the checkout girl is having a bad day, and we've all experienced this because she does a job where he is getting minimum wage and deals with hundreds of people going through who are having a bad day, and he ends up being the brunt of it. You get to the checkout line and that person is standing there and won't even look you in the eye. And you sort of walk out going, gosh, what attitude that person had, or what's his problem, and so forth. And then we get home and we're grumpy because we've taken whatever happened with that person personally, and it actually had nothing to do with us. And we do this when somebody gets angry, when they respond in a different way, and we seem to take everything very personally. And in general, it's not about us. But we have a very, very hard time as human beings realizing it's really not about us, because all our life we've been taught it's all about us. So that's one of the things that we really have to practice constantly. I mean, we almost have to keep it like a mantra in our head saying, don't take it personally. It's not about us. Something happens, at our job, and our boss is angry at us, or whatever the case might be, and sends an email that doesn't sound very kind. It's not about us. There's no need to take it personally, unless it's directed to us. But even then, how it's directed to us and how we respond to it is up to us. And that's the second part of it, is not giving into reaction. So these two aspects of trying to bring peace into our life, because if we don't have peace in our life, we have a very hard time letting peace be part of our life. So not giving into reaction is one of the hardest things to practice. And I always think of this. I thought of it when I was driving here tonight. I was thinking about the cartoon about the man who's at work and his boss yells at him. And then the man comes home and he slams the door and yells at his wife. And so she gets angry, and then she gets angry with the child, and the child gets angry with the dog and kicks the dog. And the poor dog is like, what did I do? What happened? But that's how reaction works. And that, on a greater scale, is exactly what's going on globally right now. You look at what happens in one country and it affects another country. You see what happens with one population of people and it affects a whole bunch of other people. And it's all about reaction. And people giving into that reaction and getting angry and having opinions about it and so forth. What would it be like if we dropped all of that? What would it be like if, instead of giving into reaction, that we just watched things and didn't didn't react to it. Whether it was good, bad, ugly, whatever. Just did not give in to the reaction of it. That's why these two things are really difficult to do. But if we bring it into our life, it can really change the way we live our life. So I'm going to start the meditation now. And before we leave, it's almost better that after the meditation is over, that we don't have any talking. So I was going to ask if anyone had any questions or anything before we started. Or any comments?
I was just reading Pima Chodron,
Mm-hmm.
just a little bit, and it's exactly, she was saying just what you said about reacting.
Yeah.
Breathe in and-
Right. Yeah, and you know, I modified this meditation, which I tend to do because, I don't know, I was meditating while I was doing this, and so I started writing something a little different. But one of the parts that we had to this meditation was to be a channel of peace, to breathe in saying, I am a channel of peace. And then when we're exhaling, saying, I send peace to the world. You know, and the Tangla is much like that. You know, you're breathing in the suffering of others and you're breathing out compassion and loving kindness. So let's begin with the meditation. So go ahead and make yourself comfortable. This evening, we are gathered to invoke peace. Peace in our hearts, peace in our homes, in our nations, and in our world. So let us close our eyes for a few minutes. To relax and to center ourselves. Just allow your body to let go of today's stress. Let your breathing calm. Let us start by giving thanks for what peace we have in our lives. Whether it's the peace we have with our friends and our family members, our animals, or the few minutes of peace that we have alone in the morning before the day begins. Give gratitude to those moments. Pay attention to what that deep gratitude feels like for you. let that gratitude fill your heart. Let it expand through your whole consciousness. With the intention of, I am a channel for peace, let the stress of the day fall through your feet. As a channel of peace, let us start by sending peace to those in our circle and those attending this meditation. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to our neighbors, the people with whom we come into contact, our city as a whole. May the peace we channel soothe their suffering. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to the states and countries in which we live and through this precious planet. let us send peace as well to our brothers and sisters in those states and nations. May the peace we channel soothe their suffering. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to the homeless, the displaced, the hungry, the tortured, those imprisoned, those without a voice. May the peace we channel soothe their suffering. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to those who perpetrate and oppress others. May our peace and compassion for them soothe their suffering. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to those who dedicate their lives to social justice and to the work to benefit humanity. May the peace we channel soothe their suffering. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to the many non-human beings who bring beauty, joy, and love to the world. May the peace we channel soothe their suffering. As a channel of peace, let us send peace to our Mother Earth, the most selfless of all mothers. May the peace we channel soothe her suffering. May peace be with them all. As our meditation comes to a close, may we continue to bring light and peace to all we meet. May peace be with us all. Thank you.